Before, I actually predicted that fucking Khabib would, like, I thought Khabib would edge it on 5 rounds. Now I'm sort of going towards Conor.
I think we learned a lot in Brooklyn. The ally came to fight.
Did, yeah. Listen, mate, Khabib's an animal. He's a fucking sick dude. But so's Conor, mate. People write him off because they think Khabib's gonna, like, ragdoll him. Not gonna ragdoll him. And he's gotta be careful to try and ragdoll him because you come in that distance, mate. I know how it works.
Yeah, 100%.
You've gotta be careful. So that's a fucking great fight.
So, Conor and Khabib, who you gonna be rooting for?
Khabib.
Why?
I'm in Russia, I have to say that.
Ну, конечно же, Хабиб. Я в России, я должен так сказать.
No, I'm joking.
Шучу.
I'm not rooting for either person to win. I believe that there's really great fighters, and I believe that there's God-gifted fighters. They're both God-gifted fighters. And in a fight like that, it's way above me. So I'll just watch as a fan. Let whatever destiny wanted to happen, let it happen.
So what do you hear about the conflict around the thing that, around the rumors, well, news rather, that Conor is being trained by a Chechen fighter? Since Khabib,
Nurmagomedov. Dagestanец.
Yes, sorry, lost it for a second. So it's because Khabib is from Dagestan, and Ayub is from Chechnya, and them being a very close countries, and it's more on a kind of a yeah. First of all, they're both Muslims, and second of all, being close people in nation and in territory, they have a strong understanding that, you know, one country cannot help the enemies of the other. So what have you heard about this? What do you think about the fact that, you know, a guy from Chechnya is being a neighbor nation to Khabib's home country, and being more like maybe not a neighbor, maybe a family nation to Khabib's home country? Do you think these kind of national disputes, if you will, should have a place in sport at all?
Well, it goes to show how powerful and how serious MMA is taken in this side of the world. I mean, I think it's brilliant on Conor's part to bring him down there. It causes a lot of discomfort in this Russian family. It could also be a little bit of a distraction for Khabib. I don't think people give Conor enough credit for how smart he can be and how planned his moves can be. At the end of the day, who you train with doesn't matter too much. This Russian fighter that's helping Conor, he won't make or break the fight. The man who's meant to win is going to win.
Every time somebody speaks about Khabib, they tell me how strong he is and how he feels like a heavyweight once he gets a hold of you, and then once he's on top of you, how he feels like a heavyweight. And so I feel like he grabs a hold of Conor. He's never felt that kind of pressure, and I think Khabib will get it done.
So you're Team Khabib on this one?
I'm Team Khabib, baby.
I don't know, man. Yeah, that's tough to say. I think Conor's stand-up is pretty. You know, I think off of I think Khabib can't depend on his, you know, being able to take a shot. Like, he's got to have a little better head movement against Conor. He can't just walk through those. So if he can do that, I think Khabib could win.
I see, you know, as always, I see flaws in his game and stuff like that, and I think we could capitalise on a lot of stuff. Yeah, so I'm excited, and I'd love to see the fight happen towards the end of the year.
The first thing that we've got to think about is how Conor's going to approach this, because he knows Khabib's going to come forward. It's going to be difficult for Conor to push Khabib up against the fence like he has done everybody else, and that's where he usually lines people up for the power left hand. It's going to be different in this one because Khabib's going to push forward no matter what Conor's throwing. He's going to be willing to block. He did the same thing to Edson Barbosa, who's a vicious kicker, and he walked through most of his kicks. Knows it's going to hurt, knows he's going to have to weather an early storm, but he also knows that when he gets his hands on someone, he does what he likes. And because he's still unbeaten, it's never been proven any different to him. No one's ever really caught him with a good shot and put him down. I mean, we saw him hurting in the Michael Johnson fight, but Khabib's main vulnerability for me in this fight is that he's got no footwork. He only knows forward. There's no idea of cutting off the octagon until he's actually got his hands on someone. So that's where Conor gets into this fight. He's very intelligent, like Nick said. He's going to be good at circling off and walking Khabib onto that left hand. I think this is going to be a very different version of Conor than we've ever seen. I think we're going to see a lot more lateral movement and more footwork. I think he's going to come in slightly lighter and better conditioned. And I think he's going to expect to be taken down at least a couple of times. But, you know, going back to the point I made earlier, the quick turnaround of this fight to me tells me that he's thinking if he can get Khabib to be mainly focused on his weight cut for the fight and overconfident that he's going to be able to do what he always does, then Conor can predict what he's going to do when he actually gets in there and then set him up. And I think that, you know, whether in an early storm is likely for Conor, I think he's probably going to have to maybe even get out the first round, get back to his feet a couple of times. But I think he'll find a place for that left hand at some point, maybe late second, early third. And I think Khabib will walk onto it. And we've seen him slow down in the Al Iaquinta fight. First time we've seen him do 5 rounds. Yep. He did slow down. You know, there were points where you start thinking to yourself, if he was fighting Conor here and there was that sharp left hand in the toolbox, he'd be in trouble.
When it comes to him versus Khabib, listen, it's going to be a blowout, but either way. Either Khabib's going to win, and it's going to be lopsided. It's going to seem lopsided. I would say this is how it's going to look like. Khabib's going to take him down and maul him, or McGregor's going to catch him on the way in and knock him out. Now, it's going to happen one way or another, very likely. What I'm doubting, what I don't see very likely, is a seesaw battle where there's a lot of stand-up, then they hit the ground, then they get back up, and they're striking and they're wrestling, and it's a back-and-forth battle where it's 1 round apiece and it's coming down to the last round. That I don't see. McGregor wants to pick and poke. He wants to keep you at a distance. He wants to snipe you from afar and eventually catch you with his left hand. And the fact that they're both opposite stance, the fact that McGregor, his lead leg is right in front of Khabib, and Khabib is the master of single leg, that's a huge advantage. But also, Khabib's head movement is not going to be a difficulty for McGregor. McGregor has a gem in his pocket, that left hand, and Khabib's closing of the distance in the past, and I'll highlight a few situations, has been problematic.
I think for Khabib, I think we talk about how he's not as good on the feet. He has all these problems, but his pressure is so unrelenting that he's able to land a lot of big punches on guys that we kind of stopped talking about because he gets the takedown. He uses his ground and pound. He's gotten submissions. But he's in your face. He landed a lot of shots on Edson Barboza, who's clearly a better striker. But because of the takedown threat, because of the ground and pound and the pressure, guys have to backpedal. They have to worry about his wrestling, and it opens up for big strikes. So one of the things that we could see that might throw people off is Khabib might be able to land some punches and some strikes because you know that he's going to be coming to take you down, and you have to worry about that anytime you're fighting that guy. So I think his boxing is kind of completely forgotten about, even though he's improved it and it is getting better. And for Conor, his takedown defense, I mean, who's taken him down and really controlled him there other than when Diaz got the submission? But Conor initiated that wrestling exchange anyway. So I think his control on the feet, and Mendez obviously got him down too, but he did have a bum knee going into that fight, which we found out later on, and did almost no wrestling. So I think Conor's ability to keep the fight on the feet and stay at range is that's something we know he's good at. But I think his wrestling and his jiu-jitsu is underrated.
I mean, Conor's Conor, and that's it. You know, like it had nothing to do with me, you know, and since it had nothing to do with me, it's not, you know, I don't really want to put my opinion out there, you know? Yeah.
Just looking at that division futuristically, Khabib is the champ now. Obviously, Conor was the champ, and you do the Mayweather thing. How do you see that fight playing out? Stylistically, I mean,
I don't even look at that. I look at Khabib right now for myself. Right. Yeah. I look at Max. Hopefully, when we're talking about very soon, and then we got maybe Khabib later. Yeah.
I was telling your coach, I actually love the idea of you and Khabib because you're a shark when it comes, you know, to the ground. You know what I mean? So
I love that matchup. No, that's why I love the matchup. I'm not saying I want to be a 155er. I'm just saying I like that his style against my style. And as a fighter and fan of the sport, it's like I want to see that fight. And it's like, let's make it happen.